Welcome, beekeepers, to our next episode on women creating new foundations. Today we have with us Cheri Villa, the founder of Pegasus Horse Wisdom. Welcome. And Cheri, before we get started, if you would let me know how you would like me to refer to you, that would be very helpful. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Yes, I refer to myself in she, her pronouns, and I appreciate you asking that.
Okay, so tell me about Pegasus Horse Wisdom.
Yeah, so Pegasus Horse Wisdom is a company that I started in 2018, and it is a leadership and life coaching business. And the unique part of it is that my herd of 6 horses are part of my coaching staff. So, leadership and life coaching are powerful techniques that help you explore yourself in a deeper level. Often the things that we don't realize or the things that we feel, but we just can't really find a way to get through them. And so it's all about exploring different parts of you. And the horses are just magnificent at helping people get to those inner core beliefs.
So that's fascinating. I am so curious if you could share. Um, it sounds like, our hive is very connected with nature and all of its beings. And I'm so curious, it sounds like you are offering this animal-centric life coaching. And I'm just curious, how does it work? What does it look like?
So it looks different for everybody. There's not a cookie cutter approach, but at its core essence, when people come, I think that anybody that studies themselves and studies the modalities of reaching their inner core beliefs understands that the common denominator amongst all of us is we are just energy. And so we live on this earth. We are grounded by Mother Earth and onto a planet that has electromagnetic forces at play. And we are, as these energetic beings, we are cycling through the world, and we are taking on the vibrations around us, and we are trying to, understand our place in that and traverse those energetic boundaries that are sometimes very difficult to even understand. And so the reason that horses are so wonderful is that they are energetically supreme beings. So horses are prey animals, as we know. And in order for them to stay alive and thrive, they must really understand the energy and the vibrations around them to a very heightened degree. And so simultaneously, horses throughout eons have been able to, focus in one area while really understanding the vibrations up to a mile circumference around them, and understanding if it's a negative vibration that could harm them or if it's a positive vibration. And the interesting thing about that is that once they simultaneously sense all these energies around them, what they do is they sense it, they recognize it, and then they respond to it. And so that's the way they go through the course of their day. And what that allows them to do, it allows them to live in perfect coherence, which means that they are balanced between their mind, their body, and the vibrations around them. And of course, humans, we don't do that so much.
Well, we have a mental body. So I am really fascinated. So we talk a lot about in our meditations and as elements of nature and being mindful and more heartful. And so we talk a lot about in our beekeepers groups about really being resonant and coherent with the field, meaning each individual presence that's there. And I'm fascinated with the horse's ability to sort of navigate through their mental, physical, and all of the energy that's moving around that we can't actually see with our third dimensional eye. And I'm curious, if someone comes and, let's say, maybe has a fear or anxiety of horses. They're large, and I would imagine if there was already anxiety. I'm curious what sort of happens in those times. Like, could someone come for life coaching and participate in your workshops and life coaching if they're afraid of animals?
Yeah, that's just an excellent point, because people tend to be fascinated with horses, but really, so many people that are fascinated with horses have never been around horses. And so coming into this work and thinking like, oh, performance anxiety, I have to be around a horse and I have to really, I have to really understand what that means, because I'm scared of what they could do to me. And really, that tells a lot more about the person than the horse, because horses never are out to just harm you, especially my horses. They're very tuned into this work and really understand it. But we spend a lot of time getting people comfortable and grounded in themselves before we even do any exercises with horses. And all the exercises that we do with horses are closely monitored and are on the ground. You are never on the horse. You are never performing with the horse. You are in proximity of the horse. That's all it takes. Horses don't need to be right next to you to energetically read your thoughts and feel your emotions. They can do it from far, far away. So it's all a part of that living coherently that they do so well, that translates to being around people. And I have had people who have had high anxieties around horses. And I can tell you, I've never had an occasion where, after they've experienced this work and the way we do it so carefully and so respectfully of both the horse and the person, that they haven't completely melted away a lot of that, fear and anxiety that they came in with.
So it sounds like there's a lot of healing happening, and it's curious because it's happening from the field, the shared field between your horse therapist, if that's the correct wording, and yourself as the leadership or facilitator. I'm not sure what you call yourself, a coach or
Mhm.
midwife, any of those things. So people can actually come face a fear in a kind of gentle way that's can be done at a distance. So there's an ability to keep their heart open and embrace their innermost self. Am I understanding
Yes,
correctly?
yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, wow, that's beautiful. And so, if you're willing to share, I would be curious because you are standing in the field when these sessions occur. And I'm curious what that feels like to, is it a witnessing effort? Is it a shared
Mm.
experiencing? What occurs within your own body, if you're willing to share? It's
Oh,
just an,
sure. Well, so when I do this work alongside individuals or small groups of people or in workshop situations, one of the most unique aspects of it is that everybody always gets just as much, if not more, out of another person's experience with a horse as they do about themselves, because we all are part of a universal construct. And so, what I am seeing and perceiving is happening and going on has everything to do about me and not the person that's actually out there, or in closest proximity to the horse at the time. So yeah, there's just a lot of healing and a lot of understanding and a lot of breakthroughs that happen just on the sidelines, as you would, right? So but it is beautiful, because I know that what it means whenever you're coherent, of course, and we talk about, it means that you can simultaneously access and use the gifts of your head, your heart, and your gut or your intuition at the same time, and just move seamlessly between them. Of course, as humans, we think our way through things instead of having a heartfelt approach through things many times. And we've often are told, oh, don't listen to your heart. That's frivolous. That's or you have a gut instinct, but if you go with your gut, sometimes that can seem like, well, that's a real crapshoot, where horses, that's not even part of their being. They access all points of their energetic self, and And so whenever somebody is with them, they learn a lot of things that you can't really teach. And so, this is not therapy. It's horse facilitated coaching and holding space for people to really understand themselves differently. And that what we do is we hold on to our emotions. We don't release them, right? We fret about things and we ruminate about things that happened in the past. That doesn't serve us. But this is a human condition that then gets layered and layered, and then we have deep-seated beliefs that, is that true? Is that real? Is that part of what you know about yourself for true? And so a lot of what this work it is about rediscovering ourselves at a different, and then having a deeper, more coherent way of processing through the world. And the way that works is because a horse can feel your emotions and can read your thoughts. And the reason they can is because thoughts are energy and they're vibrations. So, a negative thought has a much lower vibration and cognitive dissonant vibration than a positive thought. In fact, they have measured the vibrational energy of all thoughts. And the thought that has the highest vibration out there, you would think it would be love, which of course that's a very high vibration whenever you are in your heart space. But gratitude seems to be the one that resonates the highest. And so because a horse has an 8-pound heart and is just pumping all this energy and this energetic flow through it at all times, and being able to process it like a supercomputer, when they're in proximity to a person who has a low vibration, they really want nothing to do with that. So you'll see the horse just not paying attention or moving on, or stomping his foot, or whatever it is that happens. It's an obvious message that, wow, where are you in your body right now? What are you thinking? Well, I'm thinking about my taxes. I'm thinking about the divorce that I want to actually file for. I'm thinking about, whereas then when a person gets to a grounded state and goes into their heart and is in proximity of a horse, it's like candy to that horse. That horse will sense it, its ears will perk up, you'll see it like being very curious. Am I really feeling this? And then it'll go straight towards it, and it'll just stand over you, with you, beside you, just soaking in that pure, heartfelt, emotional connection. And so those are some of the ways that it's exemplified in these exercises.
It's so curious, and I would imagine you can learn a lot from horses having 4 feet on this beloved planet we live on, where we have 2. They have a lot more connection, and it's bringing to mind these. I'm fascinated with all that's going on, and people often have spent years and years in talk therapy, and then from a mindfulness perspective, when we are practicing mindfulness and the mind actually meets itself and all of its complicated unconscious and subconscious and what's below, the bubbling of the ocean, and how complicated it can get. And it sounds like when the person gets to have this horse experience and be coached through it, that there's a real meeting of one's heart. Is that what because of the ability of the horses to radiate gratitude and love and be in alignment, it sounds like they're quite regulated. So for someone who perhaps spends a lot of time in their mind, there's a lot of us that have worked in corporate America, the driving, the getting there, the getting the coffee, the multitasking, the phone, the computer, the paperwork, go home, make dinner.
Yeah, on and on and on.
Yeah, it sounds like, and that sort of abrupt stop, because talking about it for many, I hear, through just communications, the talking seems to reawaken the dysregulation almost as a reminder. And what I am really resonating with is your saying that horses kind of hold you in this here and now experience, radiating all this love and balance of regulation, and it allows a person to meet their heart instead of their mind. Is that sort of?
Yeah, so it's a whole different approach. Okay, so different from therapy. This work supports the person in expanding their own personal awareness of themselves and others. So that's your energetic boundaries and your ability to suss out and understand what's yours and what's somebody else's. Unlike talk therapy, which has its place in this world, this work is all about focused on you as a unique energetic being in this world, and how do you show up in your energetic self, and what are some of those learned responses, those hidden emotions or deep-seated emotions, that those hidden thoughts, those known thoughts, all of the false self, all of those things are things that we hold at an unconscious or a subconscious level within us. And it needs to come out and be relearned, rediscovered, refocused in ways that serve people. So it's not about rehashing the past. The past is so far gone. It is about being in the moment, being here now. It's kind of like if horses are reading the current state of what's going on around them, and they're sensing it, noticing it, what do humans do? They know a lot of things that are good for them or bad for them. And what do? We ignore it, we bury it, we push it down, we don't believe it, we think our way through it, we think we're going to make it better, we think it could get better, we don't even recognize it for what it is in the moment. And then if horses sense those things and they recognize or notice what's going on, we can notice what's going on, but then we attach a preconceived notion to it. Worry, fret, fear, past memories, experiences, all of those things are not serving us in the moment, right? They're not helping us process or traverse through that particular situation. And then horses, then they find an appropriate response to it. And then what do? They move on. They go back to grazing. What do people do? Well, we respond perhaps in some way, but then we rethink it, and we rethink it again. And then we talk to other people about it. Then we make deeper neurological, the neuroplasticity gets deeper and deeper because we're creating ruts in our brain, just trying to rethink it, and make it something that perhaps it isn't, or we're just really overthinking it altogether. So there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from nature, and specifically from horses, about ourselves. And that's really the energetic boundaries and the emotional agility that horses automatically have and share so willingly with humans is what this work introduces.
Yeah, what was really fascinating to me is that you explained how the horse, if someone is, I think you said making a grocery list, but I don't trust my memory. So, they were thinking about maybe their taxes. I think you said taxes, maybe. So you're thinking about that. The horse is not interested. We're in our mental body. And I'm thinking about, they're so wise in the way they communicate, because we might be doing that to our spouse or our coworkers or a friend or even our clients, or just people in the grocery store, just because we're thinking and being present in the here and now, knowing our own heart and having that energy able to share allows a greater sense of receptivity. It sounds like you could learn in these sessions. Is that
right? Well, the whole thing is about coherence. And so, Heart Math Institute has done a ton of science on personal coherence and what that means, and what it means to live in a grounded state, which means that you have the ability to process, to accept, and to understand and connect with your mind, your heart, your intuition, all at the same time, and offer that in a unique, offer that each and every day in the moment is,
Yes.
wow. It just, what it does is it helps you manifest so many things in life that we're just cutting ourselves off from having access to, because we are more naturally right now inclined to live in a very incoherent, state. And so, yeah, so I think that what you're really describing is a personal unawareness of our boundaries, in the grocery store around us, the thoughts we're thinking, that the vibrations those are sending out, and we're not in the moment. We're not, in a grounded state. We're not even recognizing the importance of that. But it really does make a huge difference in your level of happiness, in your level of anxiety, in your health outcomes, in both mental and physical. It's everything. And there's science behind all of it. And so anyway, I'm very happy and proud to be offering this type of intensity and work to people through Pegasus Horse Wisdom. And I'm just so thrilled that in my life, I've gotten to the point where I'm able to each and every day try to access my own level of mindfulness and living in a grounded, coherent state just by living here at Tudor Farm around all these amazing sentient beings.
And so if you would, if people have questions for you, what is your website information, or how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, perhaps you could put that in the chat, but it is just, the website is pegasusHorseWisdom.com. And there is a way of, booking a consult or just contacting us. And so all the information is on that website, PegasusHorseWisdom.com.
Okay. So, and all of your, if people want a consultation or want to come for a session, they could book it on your website.
Correct.
And that's going on at your farm.
Mm-hmm. And if you're more comfortable thinking about visiting here and just being, all of this work is just very grounded in nature. So Pegasus Horse Wisdom here at Tudor Farm, there's a specially designed retreat center that the horses have a stall in the middle of, so they can be a part of the workshops. And there's big, beautiful oak trees and other trees and ponds and other animals. So it's a very grounded, just tranquil, serene place to visit. So, but if somebody is thinking about, well, I'd like to try this out, but I don't really want to go it for an individual session, well, then check out the workshops and events that are on the website, because there's always something that's coming up that perhaps you would be able to or want to participate in.
Great. Okay. And one last thing, if you have time, I know you're busy. One last question is, if I were going to show up, what would a session look like for me, having no experience with horses and knowing I'm not going to be riding? Can you just walk me through some of the exercises?
Sure. So before you even get here, we do some preliminary work. We understand, like, well, what is your experience with horses? What's your experience with coaching? What is it that you'd like to get out of this session? Do you have any intentions or things that are coming up for you that you'd like to explore? And so there's some thought even going into it. And then when you arrive here at the farm, we really just start off in the pavilion. Through conversation, we meet the horses, but we meet them from a distance. There's no touching or connecting. It's more like just in their proximity, in proximity to them, trying to feel what's happening in your body. And that is, it sounds very simplistic, but I have found in my years of experience doing this, is a very profound exercise, that things come up for people that they didn't even know was right there on the, the precipice of coming out emotionally or physically. And so we explore that. And we just take the time that's needed. Again, this is not a cookie cutter approach. It's about each individual person and what they're bringing and what their needs are, and holding space so that the exploration is safe and it's comfortable, and then we go from there. And sometimes, like I said, horses can be in the round pen in front of us, and we could just be on the outside of the round pen. Sometimes with support, or depending on how a person is feeling, we do exercises in the round pen with the horses. But this isn't about performing with the horse. This is about understanding ourselves, and the horse helps us do that. So we wear closed-toed shoes, and we have lots of ways of protecting everybody who participates.
So it would feel quite safe in my body, having never done this before, that there's enough supervision and that I can just kind of be with this.
Absolutely.
I've never been with before, and not left alone, sort of like with myself, that there would be some guidance and some help if I'm getting stuck.
Well, yes. I mean, I'm always there as well, or another trained staff person. The horses the horses aren't at liberty just running around and running roughshod. They're on lead lines. It's a very controlled situation, and it's simply put, it really turns out to be a beautiful exchange, and that the anxiety that's natural, because just sometimes people have anxiety about dogs they don't know or anything, but this work is so beautiful and so powerful, because it is done in a way that's not at all dangerous or unpredictable or anything like that.
And it sounds like it's pretty slow moving, so people can remain in their body while they're connecting to the other beings at your farm, and there's nature. So it sounds like it's pretty tranquil and slow moving and individualized. So that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to check out a little bit more about the farm itself, that website is Tudor, TUDOR, tudorfarmocala.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat, see if that goes in there. tudorfarmocala.com. Perfect. All right. Any final thoughts you would like to share with our viewers?
No,
really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, and I appreciate you doing this, and look forward to connecting with anybody that has further questions or wants to just have more answers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cheri. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Key.